The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with tension. Hundreds of alien representatives from across the Milky Way sat in tiered seats. They looked down at the central platform, where the High Counselor, a tall, blue-skinned being named Zaxlor, called for order. "Silence, please," Zaxlor's voice boomed. The room fell quiet. "We are here to discuss a grave matter. The humans of Earth." A low murmur rippled through the crowd. Earth was a touchy subject. Holograms flickered to life, showing images of Earth, its blue oceans, green continents, and sprawling cities. Zaxlor continued, "For centuries, we have watched this young species. At first, they seemed harmless, primitive, but now—" He waved his hand, and the images changed. They showed humans landing on their moon, sending probes to distant planets, and splitting atoms. "Their technology grows at an alarming rate," Zaxlor said. "And their nature, it troubles me." Grokthar, a reptilian counselor, stood up. "What do you mean, High Counselor?" Zaxlor's face darkened. "Observe." New images appeared. Humans fighting wars, polluting their planet, arguing fiercely with each other. They are violent, divided, and unpredictable. If they reach the stars in their current state, they could destabilize the entire galaxy. The council chamber erupted in worried chatter. Zaxlor raised his hands for quiet. "There's more," he said gravely. "Our deep space sensors have detected something unexpected." He nodded to a small insect-like alien at a control panel. A new hologram appeared, showing a strange energy signature emanating from Earth. "We don't know what this is," Zaxlor admitted, "but it's powerful. Potentially more advanced than anything we have, if the humans learn to control it." He left the thought unfinished. The council members looked at each other in fear. Lurana, an ethereal being made of swirling light, spoke up. "What do you propose, High Counselor?" Zaxlor took a deep breath. "I believe we must take preventive action." The room exploded in shocked exclamations. Grokthar roared for clarification. "You mean attack them?" he asked incredulously. Zaxlor nodded solemnly. "I'm afraid so. We must reduce their population and technological capabilities before they become a true threat." Many council members protested. Lurana's light pulsed with agitation. "This goes against everything we stand for. We are peacekeepers, not conquerors." "I understand your concerns," Zaxlor said, "but consider the alternative. If humans harness that energy signature and spread across the galaxy, countless worlds could suffer. We have a duty to protect all sentient life, not just one species." The debate raged for hours. Some counselors supported Zaxlor's plan. Others were horrified. In the end, they called for a vote. The results flashed on a giant screen. 51% in favor, 49% against. Zaxlor looked grim. "Then it is decided. We will launch a limited strike on Earth, targeting their major population centers and technological hubs. Our goal is not to destroy them completely, but to set them back, to give us time to better understand and contain them." He turned to a group of military advisors. "Prepare the fleet. We strike in 3 rotations." As the council dispersed, not everyone was convinced. Lurana approached Zaxlor privately. "This is wrong," she said. "You don't know how the humans will react. They might be more dangerous than you realize." Zaxlor's expression was heavy. "Perhaps, but the decision is made. We must hope it's the right one." Little did they know, this decision would change the fate of the galaxy forever. In their attempt to prevent a potential threat, the Galactic Council was about to awaken a force beyond their wildest nightmares. On Earth, blissfully unaware of the danger hurtling towards them from the stars, humans went about their daily lives. In labs and universities, brilliant minds worked on unlocking new scientific frontiers. In homes and communities, people laughed, loved, and dreamed of a brighter future. They had no idea that in just 3 short days, their world would be forever changed. The age of innocence was about to end, and a new chapter in human history was about to begin, written in fire, blood, and an indomitable will to survive. The day began like any other on Earth. People woke up, had breakfast, and went about their daily routines. In New York, businessmen hurried to work. In Tokyo, students crowded into subway cars. In Mumbai, street vendors set up their carts. No one knew that high above, hidden behind the moon, a fleet of alien ships waited. At exactly 9 o'clock a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, the attack began. The sky over major cities worldwide suddenly lit up. Bright beams of energy, like bolts of lightning, shot down from the clouds. Where they struck, buildings crumbled and streets melted. Panic erupted instantly. In London, Big Ben toppled as people ran screaming through the streets. The Sydney Opera House collapsed into the harbor, sending waves crashing over fleeing crowds. The Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco snapped like a twig, cars plunging into the bay below. Military forces around the world scrambled to respond. Fighter jets took off, only to be swatted from the sky by invisible forces. Tanks fired uselessly at the clouds, their shells exploding harmlessly in midair. As the initial shock wore off, world leaders tried to coordinate a response. But global communication networks were among the first targets. Internet connections failed. Cell phone towers went dark. In the blink of an eye, humanity was thrown back into a pre-digital age. On the streets, chaos reigned. John Smith, a New York City firefighter, raced from building to building, trying to save as many people as he could. "This way," he shouted, waving a group of survivors towards a subway entrance. Just as they reached safety, another energy beam struck nearby, showering them with debris. In Rio de Janeiro, Maria Gonzalez, a nurse, set up a makeshift clinic in a school basement. "We need more bandages," she called out, working tirelessly to treat the wounded. Outside, the statue of Christ the Redeemer fell from its perch, its broken pieces scattering across the city. Hours passed, and the destruction continued. Smaller towns and rural areas were largely spared, but every major city on Earth faced devastation. Smoke filled the skies, blocking out the sun. The sounds of explosions mixed with screams and sirens in a hellish cacophony. In orbit, the alien fleet watched dispassionately. Zaxlor, the High Counselor, observed the carnage from his command ship. "Status report," he demanded. An aide approached, looking nervous. "High Counselor, we've destroyed 72% of their major urban centers. Their military capabilities are severely crippled." "But..." Zaxlor turned sharply. "But what?" "The energy signature we detected. It's growing stronger. We don't understand why." Zaxlor frowned. "Continue the attack as planned. We can't stop now." Back on Earth, as night fell, the devastation became even more apparent. Cities that once shone with millions of lights now lay in darkness, punctuated only by fires burning out of control. In the ruins of Berlin, a group of survivors huddled in a bombed-out subway station. An old man spoke up, his voice shaking. "I've seen this before in the war. But this is worse." A young woman beside him nodded grimly. "It's not just one country against another now. It's us against them." She pointed upwards. "Whoever they are." As dawn broke on the second day, the true scale of the disaster became clear. Millions were dead. Millions more were injured or missing. The world's great cities lay in ruins. But something else was happening too, something the aliens hadn't counted on. In the face of this overwhelming threat, humanity began to unite. Old rivalries were forgotten. Borders became meaningless. In hidden bunkers and makeshift shelters, survivors began to organize. And deep within the Earth, in places even the aliens didn't know about, that mysterious energy signature pulsed stronger than ever. It was as if the planet itself was awakening, responding to the desperate need of its human inhabitants. The Galactic Council had wanted to cripple humanity. Instead, they had unleashed a power beyond their comprehension. The massacre had indeed changed everything, but not in the way the aliens had intended. As rescue efforts began and the first plans for retaliation were whispered, one thing became clear: humanity's story was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. As the dust settled on the ruined cities of Earth, survivors emerged from the rubble. The initial shock gave way to a grim determination. Humanity had been knocked down, but it wasn't out. In the heart of what was once Washington, D.C., a group of world leaders gathered in a secret underground bunker. The room was tense, filled with the few presidents, prime ministers, and military commanders who had survived the attack. "We need to strike back," General Sarah Chen of the Chinese army said, her fist slamming on the table. "Show these aliens we're not defenseless." U.S. President James Rodriguez shook his head. "With what? Our satellites are gone. Our Air Force is destroyed. We're blind and crippled." "Not entirely," a voice said from the shadows. A man stepped forward, his lab coat dirty and torn. "Dr. Aiden Kumar, Indian Space Research Organization." He introduced himself. "We've managed to salvage some data from our deep space telescopes. We know where the alien fleet is hiding." Excited murmurs filled the room. President Rodriguez leaned forward. "Can we reach them?" Dr. Kumar nodded slowly. "We have a few experimental spacecraft. They're not much, but they might be able to get close enough for a surprise attack." The leaders debated fiercely. It was risky, but they had to do something. Finally, a plan was formed. They would launch a desperate counterattack, while the rest of humanity focused on survival and rebuilding. Meanwhile, in the ruins of London, a different kind of response was taking shape. Emily Watson, a former hacktivist, gathered a group of tech experts in an abandoned tube station. "The regular channels are down," she said, gesturing to a jury-rigged computer setup. "But we can use the old analog networks, shortwave radio, even the sewage systems to communicate. We'll be the nervous system of the resistance." Across the globe, similar scenes played out. In the Australian outback, indigenous trackers taught survivors how to live off the land. In the Amazon rainforest, isolated tribes offered sanctuary to refugees from destroyed cities. Humanity was adapting, using every skill and resource at its disposal. Back in space, the counterattack was launched. A small fleet of experimental ships, cobbled together from pre-attack prototypes, approached the alien armada. They were led by Colonel Jake Martinez, a veteran pilot who had survived the initial onslaught. "Remember, people," Jake's voice crackled over the comms. "We're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for everyone those bastards killed. For Earth." The human ship struck hard and fast, catching the aliens off guard. Explosions blossomed in the vacuum of space as several alien vessels were destroyed. For a moment, it seemed like the counterattack might succeed. But then the alien defenses kicked in. Energy beams lashed out, cutting through the human ships like paper. Jake watched in horror as his comrades' ships exploded one by one. "Abort mission," he yelled, but it was too late. His own ship shuddered as it was hit. As systems failed around him, Jake made a decision. He aimed his crippled vessel at the largest alien ship and fired up the engines. "This is for Earth," he whispered, closing his eyes as his ship streaked towards its target. The resulting explosion was visible from the ground, a new star briefly flaring in the sky. In the underground bunker, the world leaders watched in silence as the signal from the attack fleet winked out. President Rodriguez bowed his head. They knew it was a one-way mission. Their sacrifice won't be in vain. Dr. Kumar, who had been monitoring some equipment in the corner, suddenly called out, "Sir, you need to see this." On his screen, a strange energy pattern pulsed. It seemed to be emanating from deep within the Earth, growing stronger by the minute. "What is it?" someone asked. Dr. Kumar shook his head, his eyes wide with excitement and fear. "I don't know, but whatever it is, it's powerful, and it's responding to us. As news of the failed counterattack spread, it didn't break humanity's spirit as the aliens might have hoped. Instead, it strengthened their resolve. In hidden bases and makeshift shelters, people began to prepare for a long resistance. Emily Watson's communication network spread, connecting survivor groups across the globe. Plans were made, resources shared, hope kept alive. And all the while, deep beneath their feet, something ancient and powerful stirred. Humanity had suffered a terrible blow, but they weren't defeated. They were evolving, adapting, becoming something new. The real fight was just beginning. In the ruins of MIT, a young scientist named Zara Chen worked tirelessly. The once proud university was now a makeshift lab, filled with salvaged equipment and desperate researchers. Zara hadn't slept in days, her eyes red-rimmed but filled with determination. "It has to be here," she muttered, poring over data on a cracked tablet. "We're missing something." Nearby, her mentor, Dr. Emeka Okafor, looked up from his own work. "Zara, you need to rest." "We all do." But Zara wasn't listening. Her fingers flew over the touchscreen, piecing together fragments of information. Suddenly, she gasped. "Dr. Okafor, look at this." The old scientist hurried over. On the screen was a complex pattern of energy waves, unlike anything they'd seen before. "What am I looking at?" Dr. Okafor asked, squinting. Zara's eyes sparkled with excitement. "It's the alien communication network. I've cracked it." Miles away, in the hidden command center, Emily Watson received an urgent message through her makeshift communication network. "We need to get this to the leadership immediately," she said, turning to her team. This could change everything. Within hours, Zara was presenting her findings to a group of world leaders and top scientists. The room was tense, all eyes fixed on the young woman. "The aliens aren't just communicating," Zara explained, her voice trembling slightly. "They're connected to their ships, their weapons, everything, through this network. It's like a galactic internet." President Rodriguez leaned forward. "And you can access this network." Zara nodded. "Not just access. I think we can hack it." The room erupted in excited chatter. Dr. Kumar, who had been quietly listening, stood up. "There's more," he said, gesturing for quiet. "Remember that energy signature we detected? Look at this." He brought up a new image on the screen. It showed the alien network Zara had discovered, but overlaid with another pattern, the mysterious energy from Earth. "They're similar," Zara breathed, her eyes wide. "Almost like they're speaking the same language," Dr. Kumar finished. The implications were staggering. Not only had they found a way to potentially fight back against the aliens, but they might have discovered the key to unlocking the strange power growing within the Earth. As the leaders debated their next move, Zara and Dr. Kumar huddled together, talking rapidly. "If we can interface with the alien network," Zara said, "we might be able to control their technology." Dr. Kumar nodded. "And if we can harness this Earth energy, we could power the interface," Zara finished, excitement building in her voice. Across the globe, the resistance sprang into action. Emily's communication network buzzed with activity as the plan was shared. In hidden workshops and labs, survivors began to build the technology Zara had designed. But the aliens weren't idle. On his command ship, Zaxlor received troubling news. "High Counselor," an aide reported, "we've detected unusual activity in our network. It appears the humans are trying to access it." Zaxlor's eyes narrowed. "Impossible. How could they have advanced so quickly?" "We don't know, sir, but there's more. That energy signature from Earth, it's growing stronger. And it's interacting with our systems somehow." For the first time since the attack began, Zaxlor felt a flicker of fear. What had they awakened? Back on Earth, the first tests of the new technology were underway. In a fortified bunker, Zara stood before a hastily assembled machine. It hummed with power, connected to both the alien network and probes sunk deep into the Earth. "Are you sure about this?" Dr. Okafor asked, concern evident in his voice. Zara took a deep breath. "No," she admitted, "but we have to try." She placed her hand on the interface. For a moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly, the machine pulsed with blinding light. Zara gasped, her eyes glowing with an otherworldly energy. In that moment, she saw everything. The alien fleet, their weaknesses, their fears, and more. She saw the Earth itself, alive in a way she never imagined, ready to fight back. As the light faded, Zara stumbled back, caught by Dr. Okafor. She looked up at him, a smile spreading across her face. "It worked," she whispered. "We can win this." Across the planet, hope blossomed anew. Humanity had found its weapon, its shield, and its path to victory. The turning point had arrived. The real battle was about to begin. The dawn broke over a changed Earth. In hidden bases around the world, humans prepared for the fight of their lives. The air hummed with a strange energy, part alien technology, part Earth's own awakening power. Zara Chen stood at the heart of it all, her eyes glowing faintly as she interfaced with the new hybrid system. Around her, a team of scientists and soldiers waited anxiously. "I'm in their network," she said, her voice eerily calm. "I can see their ships, their weapons, everything." General Chen, Zara's mother, stepped forward. "Can you control them?" Zara nodded slowly. "Some of them. The smaller ships, mostly. But that's not all." She turned to face the group, her expression a mix of awe and determination. "I can feel the Earth too. It's angry. It wants to help us fight." Across the globe, similar scenes played out. Emily Watson coordinated the resistance from her underground command center. "All teams, report in," she called out. "London, ready. Cairo, standing by. Rio, all systems go." One by one, the hidden bases confirmed their readiness. Humanity was about to strike back. In orbit, Zaxlor paced nervously on the bridge of his command ship. "Status report," he barked. An aide approached, looking worried. "High Counselor, we're detecting anomalies throughout our fleet. Some of our smaller ships are not responding to commands." Zaxlor's eyes narrowed. "The humans." It appears so, sir." Suddenly, alarms blared across the ship. On the main view screen, they watched in horror as several of their own vessels turned and opened fire on the fleet. "Impossible," Zaxlor shouted. But it was happening. The humans had turned their own weapons against them. Back on Earth, the counteroffensive was in full swing. In New York, a group of survivors cheered as they watched alien ships falling from the sky, brought down by their own kind. But the humans weren't relying solely on stolen technology. All around the planet, the Earth itself seemed to be joining the fight. In California, the ground split open, releasing bursts of energy that short-circuited alien ground forces. In the Amazon, vines and trees moved with unnatural speed, ensnaring and crushing alien walkers. Zara, still connected to the hybrid system, guided the assault. Through her, the Earth's power flowed, coordinating with the human resistance in ways never before possible. "There's a weak point in their defenses over Asia," she called out. "Directing our forces there now." General Chen nodded, relaying orders to the makeshift Air Force. A squadron of jets, retrofitted with alien tech, streaked across the sky. They hit the alien fleet hard, exploiting the weakness Zora had found. The battle raged for hours. Humanity, once on the brink of defeat, now pushed back with a ferocity that shocked the invaders. Cities that had been reduced to rubble became battlegrounds where humans and Earth itself fought side by side against the alien threat. In London, Emily Watson's team cheered as they received reports of victories from around the world. "We're actually doing it," she breathed, hardly daring to believe it. But the aliens weren't defeated yet. Zaxlor, realizing the tide of battle had turned, made a desperate decision. "Prepare the world breaker," he commanded. "If we can't have this planet, no one will." On Earth, Zara suddenly stiffened. No, she whispered, her eyes wide with fear. They're powering up something big. Some kind of planet-killing weapon. The news spread quickly through the resistance network. Humanity had come so far, but now faced total annihilation. In the command center, world leaders gathered for an emergency meeting. Can we stop it? President Rodriguez asked, his voice tense. Zara shook her head. Not with the alien tech we control. It's too powerful. A heavy silence fell over the room. After everything they'd been through, was this how it would end? But then, Dr. Kumar spoke up. What about the Earth's energy? The power we've been using alongside the alien tech. All eyes turned to Zara. She closed her eyes, reaching out through the hybrid system. What she felt made her gasp. The Earth, she said, opening her eyes. It's not just helping us. It's offering us everything it has, if we channel it all. We might have a chance, General Chen finished. The plan was risky. Using that much of Earth's power could have unforeseen consequences, but faced with certain destruction, they had no choice. As Zaxlor's world breaker charged up, humanity prepared for one final desperate gambit. The fate of the Earth hung in the balance. The greatest battle in human history was about to reach its climax. As the battle for Earth reached its climax, ripples of change spread across the galaxy. The news of humanity's fierce resistance and unexpected alliance with their planet traveled faster than light, carried by the very network they had hacked. On distant worlds, alien civilizations watched in awe and fear. The humans, a species they had dismissed as primitive, were now challenging the mighty Galactic Council. It was unprecedented. In the Andromeda system, the Zorlak Federation held an emergency meeting. Their ambassador, a towering insectoid named Krizak, addressed the assembly. The humans have done the impossible, Krizak clicked. They've not only survived the Council's attack, but have turned the tide. We must reconsider our alliances. Similar discussions were happening across thousands of worlds. Species that had long lived under the Council's rule began to question its authority. Back on Earth, Zara Chen was unaware of the galactic storm she had helped create. Her focus was solely on channeling the Earth's power to counter the world-breaker weapon. As Zara worked, Emily Watson received a startling message through the alien network they now partially controlled. Zara, General Chen, Emily called out. We're getting communications from other aliens, thousands of them. They're offering help. General Chen looked skeptical. It could be a trap. But Zara, still connected to the Earth and the network, shook her head. No, it's real. I can feel it. The galaxy is waking up, just like Earth did. We're not alone in this fight anymore. In orbit, Zaxlor received the news with growing panic. Holographic projections showed dozens of wormholes opening around the solar system. Ships of various designs began pouring through, but they weren't attacking Earth. Instead, they turned their weapons on the Council fleet. Impossible, Zaxlor roared. I demand to know who authorized this intervention. A communication channel opened, and a familiar face appeared on the screen. It was Lir Anna, the Council member who had opposed the attack on Earth. No one authorized it, Zaxlor, she said, her voice firm. That's the point. Your actions have shown the galaxy that the Council's authority is not absolute. These races are choosing to stand with humanity. On a desert planet millions of light years from Earth, the Sarkonian High Command watched the unfolding events with interest. The Sarkonians, a race of silicon-based life forms, had long stayed neutral in galactic politics. The humans have sparked a revolution. The Sarkonian leader observed. Perhaps it's time we took a side. Within hours, more and more alien races joined the fight. Some, inspired by humanity's courage, came to their aid. Others, seeing an opportunity to break free from the Council's rule, attacked Zaxlor's forces directly. The Galactic Council, once thought invincible, was crumbling. On Earth, the sudden turn of events brought a surge of hope. With the combined forces of Earth's power, human determination, and now galactic allies, victory seemed possible. Zara, still interfaced with the hybrid system, felt the shift in the battle. "The world breaker," she said, her voice filled with awe. "Its beam overwhelmed. The combined energy from Earth and our new allies. It's too much for it." In space, Zaxlor watched in disbelief as his super weapon overloaded, consumed by the very energies it was meant to control. The massive ship exploded in a blinding flash, taking a significant portion of the Council fleet with it. As the light faded, a stunned silence fell over the battlefield. Then, gradually, cheers erupted from Earth and the Allied ships. The tide had turned decisively. Zaxlor, realizing the battle was lost, gave the order to retreat. But as the remaining Council ships tried to flee, they found their path blocked by more Allied forces. On thousands of worlds across the galaxy, populations that had lived in fear of the Council for centuries celebrated. The news spread like wildfire. Humanity had stood up to the Council and won. A new era of galactic politics had begun. In the command center on Earth, world leaders struggled to process the rapidly changing situation. President Rodriguez turned to Zara and General Chen. "What happens now?" he asked. Zara, her eyes still glowing with the power of Earth and the alien network, smiled. "Now," she said, "we helped shape a new galaxy, one where Earth has a voice." As the remaining Council ships surrendered and the Allied forces began to land on Earth, humanity prepared to step onto the galactic stage. They had not only saved their world, but had sparked a revolution that would reshape the cosmos. The age of Earth's isolation was over. A new chapter in galactic history was about to begin. 5 years had passed since the great battle that changed the galaxy. Earth, once a hidden backwater, now stood at the center of a new galactic order. The scars of the invasion were still visible on the planet's surface, but they were fading, replaced by signs of progress and alien technology. In New York, a gleaming spire rose from the rebuilt skyline, the headquarters of the newly formed Galactic Alliance. Inside, representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered to shape the future of interstellar relations. Zara Chen, now Earth's chief ambassador, stood before the assembly. Her eyes still held a faint glow, a reminder of her connection to both Earth's power and the galactic network. "Fellow beings of the galaxy," she began, her voice clear and strong. 5 years ago, we faced extinction. Today, we stand united, ready to forge a future of cooperation and understanding. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of cheers, clicks, and various alien sounds of approval. Among the delegates, Krizak of the Zorlak Federation nodded approvingly. Beside him, Lirana, once a member of the Old Council and now a key ally of Earth, smiled. Meanwhile, in orbit, Emily Watson oversaw the construction of Earth's first faster-than-light ship. She floated in zero gravity, directing a team of human and alien engineers. "Careful with that antimatter injector," she called out to a multi-limbed alien worker. "We don't want to blow a hole in space-time again." The ship, named Phoenix, symbolized humanity's rise from the ashes of near destruction. It combined Earth's unique energy with advanced alien tech, creating something entirely new. Back on the surface, in a quiet garden in what was once Central Park, General Chen sat with President Rodriguez, both now retired from active leadership. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" Rodriguez asked, gesturing to a group of alien tourists admiring the Earth flowers. General Chen shook her head, smiling. "Never, but I'm glad we lived to see it." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden commotion. A group of schoolchildren, both human and alien, ran past, laughing and playing. Among them was a young human girl, her hands glowing faintly as she used Earth's energy to levitate small stones, much to the delight of her alien friends. This scene was repeated across the globe. Humans were learning to harness the power of their planet, guided by their innate connection and the knowledge shared by their new alien allies. Earth was no longer just a world. It was becoming a force in itself, its power respected across the galaxy. But not everything was perfect. In the shadows of this bright new world, challenges lurked. Some humans resented the rapid changes and the influx of alien influence. A few alien races, still loyal to the old council's ideals, plotted in secret. In a hidden lab deep beneath the Mariana Trench, Dr. Kumar worked tirelessly. He had detected anomalies in Earth's energy field, fluctuations that could spell trouble. "Zara, you need to see this," he said into a secure communicator. "The Earth, it's changing in ways we don't understand." Zara, having just finished her address to the Galactic Alliance, felt a chill run down her spine. Their victory had opened up new frontiers, but it had also awakened forces beyond their control. As night fell over the planet, the stars seemed brighter than ever before. Humans looked up, no longer seeing distant, unreachable points of light, but future destinations, new homes, potential friends and foes. In a maximum security prison on a barren moon, Zaxlor sat in his cell, his once proud form now bent and tired. But his eyes still burned with hatred and determination. "This isn't over," he muttered to himself. "The old ways will return. They must." Back on Earth, in homes and schools and laboratories, humans dreamed of the future. Children learned about alien cultures alongside math and science. Scientists collaborated with beings from across the cosmos, unlocking secrets of the universe. And deep within the planet, the mysterious energy pulsed and grew, a constant reminder of the power that had saved humanity and reshaped the galaxy. As dawn broke over New York, Zara stood at the window of her office in the Galactic Alliance headquarters. She watched the sun rise over a changed Earth, casting its light on a city where humans and aliens walked side by side. "We've come so far," she whispered to herself, "but our journey is just beginning." The future was uncertain, filled with both promise and peril. But one thing was clear: humanity had claimed its place among the stars. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them not just as humans, but as citizens of a vast and wondrous galaxy. The new era had truly begun.